So I'm using my Hourglass Veil brush. I'm just going on top of the bronzer like that, patting over it. You want to apply the bronzer on the areas that you would normally tan first if you're out in the sun. So where would you usually get that nice tan that gives you that healthy glow? So for me, it's kind of like on the forehead, but you don't want to cover the whole face because that just defeats the whole point. You'll just look really muddy. So what I want to do is just go over the cheek area as well as the forehead. So I'm not really trying to define any particular area. I'm just focusing on where I would tan first. So I feel like on my cheeks, that usually gives me more of a healthy glow, a little bit over the nose, but not a lot. And that is literally it. It's as easy as that. You don't need to overcomplicate it with like exactly where it starts and where it ends. It's just about where you usually tan first. So for me, that would be just along the forehead here and on the apples of my cheek, kind of sweeping outwards and a little bit on the nose, and that's it. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this to the under eye area. So I'm just going to use my finger to pat this in. Once you've applied this, the next step is to wait. That is really important here because if you don't, this is going to stay fluid and you are going to go straight in with your concealer, which is also fluid, and everything's going to mix together and then nothing is really doing its job. This is where we don't need a lot of concealer. I'm just going to apply it in the areas that I usually do. Just a little bit here to lift. I've got my damp beauty blender and this is where I'm just going to buff over. You can see the difference here. Obviously we've got the darkness here. You can see the kind of hollowness here and the redness kind of mixed in along with just a bit veiny. And here it's nice and smooth and we haven't even applied powder yet. So now you want to apply a little bit of setting powder and then we're going to dust this off because I really want you to see what this looks like when it's finished. No orange in sight. It's so important you leave those gaps in between to let everything settle down. Honestly, these little things that you think don't make a difference make the biggest difference. Imagine the perfect bronzer and the perfect blush and now mix them together. That's bronzer. This is literally the perfect mix of my bronzer and blush. You're gonna now dab this onto a tissue. Look how much would have come off onto your skin. So it's so important to just take the excess off onto a tissue before you apply it to your skin. Now you just want to press this into the skin. You want to go for kind of like nice terracotta shades that give you that kind of warmth that a bronzer would give you, but also add a flush of color. So you can see immediately I've got that really nice warmth to my skin. And you need such a small amount. I don't even need to double dip. I can just go straight into the other side. You can apply this over the nose if you want, if you like that kind of look. And there you go. This is giving me that slight sun-kissed look, but it's still nice and healthy looking. This is a really easy way to brighten your eye area without looking like you're wearing makeup. You want to get a matte eyeshadow that's slightly lighter than your skin tone. You're going to press it along the upper and lower inner part of the lash line, just a little bit, and this is going to really help to open up your eyes. If you want a natural makeup look but don't want to look like you're sick or tired, then this is a great trick to just make yourself look a little bit more awake. So upper and lower part of your lash line, close to the inner corner. Then I get more of a fluff brush, take a really small amount of that powder, and then I just flick up as if I'm doing a little wing. It's super subtle on the skin, so it's not as visible on camera, but honestly in real life, face to face, it definitely wakes up your whole face. Don't throw out your foundations which are too dark for you because they still work so well on the skin. So I'm applying a foundation which is a little too dark for me, and I'm going to apply it to the areas that I would usually like to contour. So just along the perimeter of my face and the jawline, and this will just warm up your face as well as just give you that contour that you need that looks natural on the skin. Sometimes contour products can look a bit harsh on the skin, so using a darker foundation is a great way to contour and still have everything look natural. When you have brown skin, it's really hard to find the right type of brown lipstick. And also brown lipsticks can really wash out a brown face. I just feel like it can end up looking muddy. This is my Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in Catwalking. I then blot. I then apply Anastasia Lip Velvet in Cool Brown. Just along the edges there. And then I just blend it in. And then blot again, and we're done. It's like a brown, but not a dull brown. So I think this is great for brown skin. Now what you want to do is prime this powder puff. You don't want to go straight into the powder and then straight onto the skin. That's where you go wrong because you'll end up making your face look cakey. There'll be way too much powder on your skin and you really don't need that much. So we're going to press into this powder. We're going to swirl it around. We're then going to go into the palm of the hand and we're just going to swirl it around again. And all that's doing is really making sure that powder sets right into that sponge. We're now going to set the under eyes, but before we do that, you want to get rid of any creasing that would have developed, which they definitely would have developed because all of the expressions that you make just lead to that kind of product sitting in the lines on the under eyes. Now we're going to go in to the under eye and we're going to just press this powder in. Now when you apply your powder, you shouldn't see a whole load of powder there. You know, sometimes you see people baking their faces and you just see all this powder everywhere. You really don't need that much. So as you can see, you can't see what I've applied. Now you want to get a smaller brush. We're going to get the Real Technique setting brush because it's the perfect brush for the under eyes. There's nothing on this brush. We're just going to dust away any powder that is on the under eyes. And that is the best way to set your makeup with powder. So I'm just going to spray this. I literally can't talk because it's just in my mouth. And we're just going to let that dry off. Now this hack is spraying your beauty blender with a setting spray as well. So we're kind of doubling up with the setting spray. Just soak my beauty blender so that it's nicely kind of covered in the setting spray. Now you're going to take your foundation. I'm using my NARS Light Reflecting Foundation in Barcelona. You're going to now buff it in to the beauty blender. And that setting spray that we applied the first time round is going to work as the perfect base. And the setting spray on this beauty blender is going to work to just give you that ease of application and just blend everything in really well. So you're going to see literally my skin transform from what it currently is, which is quite patchy, dark red. As you can see, a huge difference. Like already I feel like I'm not really going to need much concealer after this. Then you're going to carry on with your concealer and your base is done. You want to get an opaque concealer and a lip brush. I'm using my NARS Soft Matte. I'm going to take a little bit and just put it on the back of my hand. Then I'm going to coat this lip brush with that concealer and then just take the excess off like that. So I'm squeezing the lip liner so that it becomes a little bit tighter and just not so kind of bristled out, if that makes sense. This is where I can clean up any mistakes that I've got on the face. So I know that my eyeliner is just a little bit, well, not thick, but it's a little bit messy from underneath. So what I'm going to do is use the tip of this to just clean up the under part of that eyeliner. And then you can keep going back into that concealer and then taking it off like that and doing the same thing in other areas. This is great if you feel like your flick is a little bit too low or maybe one of them is going in a different direction to the other. Another place I love using this trick is around the lip line because sometimes the lip line can look a little bit overly messy. So I just use this to clean it up. Sometimes you don't realize how much of a big difference it actually makes until you've done it. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I had a few comments about why I love this. Let me just explain why I love this mascara so much. It's a tubing mascara, and basically what that is, the formula wraps each lash. It lengthens my lashes. It stays lengthened all day, so it doesn't like all of a sudden drop flat throughout the day. It's not clumpy. It's waterproof, but when I remove it, it glides off. It's almost like a rubber coating on my lashes, so you won't ever find it running, any black smudges anywhere. It's almost like it's like a latex cover for my lashes. But yeah, it's great. I want to show you a quick trick that I do quite often. This is my Doll 10 Infinite Eye Color Pencil. It's in the shade Gratitude. Now I just apply a small amount here and then I use my finger to just blend it out. And because it's an eye pencil, it has kind of like better staying power. So rather than using a concealer, using this means I get that brightness, I get that lift, and it's going to stay put. Plus I can apply it on top of my foundation and concealer. Another place I like to apply it is just here. So I like doing it after all of my makeup because then I know where I want to add that extra lift. And I literally do the same thing. I just use my finger and it's so easy to blend in. It just lifts everything as I go along. The last place I like to apply it is just here. I feel like this is a really controversial part of applying a highlight. Like I personally love it there. I just feel like it makes the tip of your nose look smaller. Try it if you haven't tried it because I think you might like it. The Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Complexion Brush. Perfect for blending cream contours or concealer. The BK Beauty 106 brush is great for buffing in liquid foundation. The Hourglass 15 brush is amazing for blending in liquid or cream blushes. You can also use this for foundation application as well, because I think you're going to love it. The Hourglass Veil brush is amazing. I've been using this for years. It's the first dual-ended brush where you actually end up using both sides. I think I have about 10 of these. This is the Real Techniques setting brush. This is by far the best brush when it comes to your under eyes. It's amazing. So don't forget, I also do have some discount codes. They're listed in my description. This is an amazing hack to just kind of like add that glam sparkle to your lip without it being full force. Like, I don't like makeup to look overdone. Some of you might think I'm nowhere near overdone. Some of you might think I am overdone, but it's whatever makes you happy. I'm going to go for this color here, which is number 6 in the Makeup by Mario Moonlight palette. I've got it on the tip of my finger and I've got some gloss on my lips, which is looking a bit much to me. So I'm just going to blot that off. Now what you want to do is just apply it to the tips, like the peak of your lip at the top. Just a little bit. It's so subtle. There's honestly the smallest amount that we've applied, but it's enough that when you move in certain kind of like in certain lights, it's going to just sparkle a little bit, and it does actually help to make your lips look a little bit bigger. So that's like a really easy, quick tip for you.